Okay, we will, I'm going to use the shell. And if you look at my screen, I have the shell and the IDLE. I was going to say I'm going to use the IDE because the IDE gives you the shell. This is the shell. What does that mean? It means you can write something and interact with it. It will immediately give you the result. That is a shell, interactive. Then we can also start a script by clicking on File, New, and this is a script. Notice that this one is not interactive. For this one, you write a program and then it will take the whole thing and interpret it still line by line, but it will allow you to write more than one line of code. Here, you can only write one line at a time. Okay, that's the difference. And to start the IDLE, what does IDLE mean? It means Integrated Development Environment, IDLE. Okay, so you simply click on File and Start, New File. That's how you get to this window. Any questions, everybody? And before you be able to run the program, you have to save it. Notice here I have untitled, right? So when you save, you have to name your file and save it, and then you can run. Okay, so let's look at the shell once again. Last time we learned that, notice that my cursor is right beside the arrow, the prompt. That doesn't work. There has to be a space. It has to be here, okay? So if I say hello, it will give you the value of hello, right? That's what interactive means. If I say print, which is a function, hello, it will print hello nicely. So it doesn't have the quotation marks, right? If you simply give it a variable, this is a variable. This is a literal value of the variable. The literal value, it will give you the literal value, which is a string enclosed in the quotation marks. If you say, okay, let's print out hello, and then it will not have the quotation marks because this is a function, it will print out whatever you give it, right? So this is what is printed out. That's what we learned last time. And we also learned how to get input from the user. This is interactive. So we can also get the input from the user. We can ask the user for the first name, and we want to store that in a variable. We call this a variable. A variable is simply a location in memory, and the variable name is called a symbolic name. Because as you remember, we discussed in the computer, this is what the memory looks like, right? It has each byte or 2 bytes has a location number. And as human beings, when we write programs, we cannot remember all those location numbers, location digits. So what do? We simply give each location a name. So basically you are saying, okay, I want this location. Oh, I have to run it. Okay, you are saying, I want this location to store something. So name it first. So from now on, when you say first, the operating system or the Python system will know you are referencing this location. So instead of you saying, go to byte segment 0 and byte segment 1, you just say go to first. That's what a variable is. It will go to that location because that is the name. It's just like the academic building 1, right? That's his name for that building. You cannot say go to longitude so-and-so and go to altitude so-and-so. That is extremely difficult to remember. So what do? You give it a symbolic name. You name it ACA1 or academic building 1. That's what a variable is. A variable, once again, is a location, a named location in memory. So when we do first, we are saying, okay, allocate a piece of memory in RAM, in memory, and name it first. That's the symbolic name. And then this is to assign things to it. This means give something to that location, put something into that location. Okay, so remember we learned this input function, and we say enter your first name, right? We learned this last time. And also remember, whatever you place inside the quotation marks will be printed out. So if you have a space here, the space will show. If you don't have the space, then there won't be a space. So whatever is you place inside the quotation marks will display on the monitor. And this is a function, right? For a function, after a function, you always have to have this parenthesis. Okay, that's very important. Print, even if you don't print anything, you have to have the parenthesis. That is just for a function, how you use a function. Okay, so this is the prompt. That's the text instruction, and it displays here, right? So now you have a chance to enter your first name. Press enter. And last time I asked you this and you answered correctly. I asked you, where is the name I entered? And you said it is saved in this location. That's correct. Now, if you go to memory location, name the first, you will get the first name. So if I reference that memory location, I mention that name, then it gives me that name. Do you know why there is a space after my name, everybody? Because
did you type a space after your name when you entered it?
Yes,
at the prompt?
Yes, exactly. When I entered my name, I pressed the space. I pressed the space bar after I entered my name. So now there is a space. Okay, so whatever you do on the keyboard, it is very, very important. You have to be very careful. So if you say this, the system cannot recognize it because that location, that symbolic name doesn't exist. The correct symbolic name is first. So your spelling is very important. Detail orientation is extremely important, especially at the beginning, because you have to follow the syntax to the T. Okay, any questions? That's what we learned last time, right? And now we can print out. So, okay, everybody, even if you do this, it works because this means print out nothing, right? So you know that after print, you have to have the parentheses. Okay. Whatever you want to print, you must have the parentheses first. So this is printing out nothing. It's an empty line. If you look at it, this is an empty line, right? Okay. Let me clear my throat. Okay, so I can do this, print. You must have the parentheses, and whatever you want to print out, a string, you just put it in the quotation marks. What I want to say is, I want to say my first name is, okay? And if I want to print out multiple things, I separate them with a comma. So I want to print out this string, this text, it's a string, a text. And I also want to print out my first name. Okay. So this will print out my first name is, because remember I put a space there, right? And because you separate them with a comma, the system automatically adds a space. That's why you have two spaces here. The first one is from this. The second space is because I separated them with a comma, and so it automatically adds a space. Let me show you this. If I don't have a space here, okay, and you can see it still adds a space. That's because it's different items and the system will automatically separate them. Any questions, everybody? So now you do some exercises. I will let you do it. Okay, let me stop recording. Record this. Okay, very good. Let's look at this, right? You ask the user to ask the first name and you print it out. What is your last name? And the user entered the last name and you print it out. And then you print out the full name. My first and last name are first, last. Very, very good. And everybody, remember we said if you want to print out multiple items with print, you will separate them with a comma and look at his statement. Print my first and last name are first, last. That's how you do that. Okay. So very good. Very good. Joe, thank you. Correct. Okay, very good. So you can separate multiple items. And another thing I need to desperately explain to you is this. Notice that my name, my first name, this is in quotation marks. This is called a string literal. It is the value of that string. Okay, so the value of the string, you have to put it in quotes. First, it's not in quotes because it's not a string literal. It is a variable. That's why it's not in quotes. If you simply do this and you say you put a quotes there, guess what will be printed out? Everybody? What will be printed out?
It'll say my first name is first.
My first name is first. That's correct, Jack. That's correct. Okay, so that's the difference between a string literal. A literal, that means the value itself. Okay, a string literal and a variable. Once you put quotation marks around anything, it becomes a string literal. Without, if it's a variable name, you cannot put the quotation marks around it. That's very important. Okay. So this part is done. You understand this. Let's continue. I think the next part is the conversion, right? We mentioned int. This is a function, and we can convert a decimal number into an int, right? If you look at this, I'm saying, okay, this is a float literal. It's the value of a float. So we call that a float literal. And I'm converting that into an int. So now it's an int, right? It's a whole number. And you can also convert an int into a float, right? So this is a float. A float is simply a real number, a decimal number with fractional parts. So that's the difference between float and int. Any questions, everybody? So last time we did this. We did age, input until your age. Okay, and now whatever you enter, what is this? Is this an int, a float, a string? What is it? Do you remember?
A string.
A string, very good. Okay, so that's the key to remember. This input function only returns a string. The input function returns a string only. Even though you enter a number, it still returns a string. So this 56 is a string. Okay, so now if you enter age, you will see it is a string, right? Not a number. So how do we make that into a number? You can, of course, you can say age. Okay, you can do this. Num age convert it convert this string. Remember, this is a string, right? I'm converting that string into an int and save that value in this location. So now in my memory, I have two locations. I have three. One is called first, one is called age, and another location is named num age. I have three variables now. So now you can see it is an int, right? So if you say first, it will give you your first name. If you say age, it will give you that string. If you say num age, it will give you the converted age, the converted string, the string being converted into a number. Any questions about this? Okay, so instead of doing that with two steps, how about we do this? We can actually do it this way. Okay, can you see it's at the bottom? Can you see my screen, my command, everybody?
Yes.
It's at the bottom. Okay, I should launch a new window. So instead of doing it with two steps, we can do it with one step. And everybody, with a variable name, you can reuse it. It will have the new value. It's like a blackboard or whiteboard. You erase it and you write something anew in the same location. So I will reuse this age. You see, I have age here, right? But I can use it again. So this time, because this will give you what? What will this give you?
A string.
A string. Everybody, remember this function will give you a string, right? So this will give you a string. And why don't I simply convert that string into an int right there, right then? So you put int here, that's the conversion, that's the function. And then because this will give you a string, right? You just put that inside the parentheses. Whatever input gives you, you will convert it into a number. Okay, an int. So let's see. Now, if I enter the number, and if I want to see the value of age, you can see now it's, instead of a string, it is a number. Any questions, everybody? Okay, that is what we are doing here, right? We did this part and we discussed this part. And you can concatenate two strings together using the plus sign, right? And we just, we reviewed all these functions except this one, but that is the easiest part. So this is what we just did, everybody. So look at this example. We input two integers and we are converting whatever you enter here. Remember this, right? This will give you a string of digits. You enter number, this is a string, but you are converting it into an int once this is entered, right? And this will give you the second string of digits. Notice I circled the part inside the parentheses. So this originally, it's a string, but the system gets it and convert it into an int. And then you print out, you add the two together because they are numbers now. First and second, where is first and second? I don't know where my first and second is. It should be num1 and num2. I need to go back. Where is my first and second? I don't know. That must be a typo somewhere. I don't know. Okay, look at this. this is correct, right? This one. I need to go back. That's why I'm telling you, I will change it often because I find out mistakes I made. I think these from previously. Okay, so look at this, enter number, and you add them together, they give you this, right? The sum is, you add them together. And so this is one item, this is two items. Okay, so the sum is the two added together. And we just did that. I just showed you how to make that into a number, right? I'm going to relaunch this. I need to go back and change this part of the slide. Any questions, everybody?
I'm missing a parenthesis.
Yes, okay. So you can copy that line and just put it down and put the parenthesis there. So everybody, this is very good. I like this. I like you sharing your screen, show your problems, and so that we all can get this from this one student. And thank you so much. Now you can see. So remember, high-level programming language is a language. A language has syntax and grammar, right? So you have to follow all that. And missing a quote, missing something will cause problems. Very good, Joe. Thank you. Record this. Another thing I think you should know is this coding snippet. This is very good. It shows you how to code something and make small changes. It asks you to make small changes, and then it will show you the result. So this is a very good place to practice also. User input and output. So just know that coding snippets are here. Okay. Now let's go to the book. Okay, everybody. So if you look at my slides, I said exercises on page 29, right? So this is page 29, and describe what happens when the programmer enters the string greetings in the Python shell. What will happen, everybody?
It will say greetings back in a string.
Yes, very good. It will print out greetings with a string. And once again, I want to stress this and just give you some terminologies. This is called a string literal. That means it is the value, the string value. Okay. The second, write a line of code that prompts the user for his or her name and saves the user's input in a variable called name. Anyone who wants to simply say it out loud? Or do you want to write it on your? Okay, say it again. I'm recording it. Say it again.
You would type name equals parenthesis quote, what is your name? And then maybe a colon quote parenthesis.
Okay. Will that work, everybody?
I think he forgot to input.
Yes, yes. We need the input. We need the input. Yes. So you will say name equal to input. That's the function to get the input. So input parenthesis and then quotes, enter your name, ending quotes, ending parenthesis. Okay. The third one, answer the question, what is a Python script? What is a Python script, everybody? It is a program. It is a list of instructions, multiple lines of instructions that will accomplish a task together. Okay, so that's a script versus when we use the Python shell, like what we did, it's line by line. A script is multiple lines of instructions together. It won't execute until you finish it and save it as a file. Okay. Explain what goes on behind the scenes when your computer runs a Python program. I will explain it. When your computer runs a Python program, the Python machine, the Python virtual machine here, okay, PVM, Python virtual machine will take your command, your instruction, and interpret it, which means it will translate it into machine language, which is ones and zeros, and execute it. Okay, so whether it's an instruction on the shell, in the shell, or it's a script, instruction in the script, it will translate it into machine code at only when the grammar is correct, right? If the grammar is incorrect, it will not translate at all. So if the grammar and syntax are all correct, it will translate that line of instruction into machine code, and then it will execute it line by line. It does this line by line. That's why we call Python an interpreted language, because it interprets each line and executes it immediately, versus other languages such as C++ and Java. That means you have to translate the whole program into machine language before you can execute. Python, you translate each line and execute that line immediately. Okay, that's the difference. Any questions? That's the difference between interpreted language and machine and compiled language, really. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go back to this. We finished those exercises. Let's do this. I will ask you to do this on your own. I will not lead you. And so I will give you 15 minutes to finish this. Okay, so let's look at it. The user goes to the store. You simply print out a statement. Just mimic the process, right? You can print out. The user goes to the store happily. The user begins shopping and the user begins to check out. And then this is where the interaction occurs. Ask the user to enter the number of apples he or she bought. And then ask the user to enter the price for each apple. And then you will display the total price paid for the number of apples. Okay, I will let you do that. And before I let you do that, we did learn the this, right? This is addition. So this sign is addition, everybody, right? And this is division. That's division. And this is multiplication, okay? And this is addition, subtraction. So those are the different arithmetic symbols you can use. With that said, I will let you work on that. I will give you 15 minutes. Okay, so let's see. Enter the number of apples. Oh, you entered nothing, right? Enter the price for each apple. You entered 2. And then input the number of apples plus input the price for each apple. Okay. Plus, and so everybody, if you look at this, Chris, do you think this is correct? If you have 2 apples and the price is 6, then it should be 12. Oh no, yes, it should be 12, right? And the first set should be 10. What's the problem here? So the logic is not correct, right? So everybody, what's wrong?
I was supposed to multiply, not correct.
Say it again.
Instead of the plus sign, I should have put the star.
Okay, you should put multiplication. That's one thing. In this case, it is accidentally correct because only 2, so you add them together, that's fine. But yes, the logic requires multiplication. What else is not correct?
It looks like the values are in a string and they're concatenated instead of stored as integers. And in this case, added together. So it's just
Yes.
one giant concatenated string each time.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Okay, so Chris, what you did is you are concatenating, you are combining 2 strings. Remember, we said input gives you only a string. It doesn't give you a number. So input, you entered 2, and then the other input, you entered 5. So it concatenates the 2 strings together. That's 25.00. That's why you see this. Right here, you have 25.00. And for the second set, you have a string, which is input, and then another string. And so 2 and 6, that's why it's 26.00. They are not converted into int. They are not converted into numbers. So both inputs are strings. That's why. Okay.
Can we see,
Got it.
can we see the ways, if someone else did it correctly, can we see it that way?
Yeah.
Because I did it wrong as well.
Yeah, okay. So Chris, thank you. That's very good. At least we know, yeah, we need to make that into an int, right? So anyone else who wants to share? And I always,
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
come on.
I wouldn't mind sharing, but I wrote mine in the script instead of the
That's
shell.
good. That's good. Just now I was thinking I should have told the students to write it in the script. Yes, go ahead. Okay, so this is the script, everybody. You write, you don't have to do interactive. You write, you can write the whole thing together. So let's see. Print out, the user goes to the store, the user begins shopping, the user begins to check out. Apples, that's the variable name, equals to int. And so if you saw what we saw just now, that did not have the int function, right? So you need the int function. And then input, how many apples did you buy? And price is a float, so we call the float function. And just now someone asked, and this is how you do it, float. So int gives you the integer and float gives you the decimal. And input, how much was each apple? And the total price is apples multiplied by price. And print, the total amount was, and you separate them, separate the 2 string literals and the variable names, and that's the output. And Summer, just show everybody how you run this once again so that everybody knows. So you run it, just as you run, just tell everybody. Yeah, you save, and then what do you do?
And then you just go to run and then run
Yes.
module.
Yes, let's run it again. Everybody, that's how you run the script, right? You just run the module and yeah, go ahead. Okay, so that is the output. This is absolutely correct. Any questions, everybody? So we look at this and we have, Summer has declared 3 variables, apples and price and total, right? And then you just use them to do the calculation, and this is correct. Summer, you had some programming experience, right?
Yeah, when I first started, I learned in C#.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's very good. If you have some background knowledge, it does help greatly. But for don't have any background programming experiences, don't feel discouraged. Please, we are starting from the very beginning. Just know that. So we're learning all this. You might be a little bit slow to react because this is the first time, but you will eventually you will get it because we are learning from the beginning. So don't feel, oh, That's so difficult. How can she do that? Just know Summer had a little bit programming background. A little you have, it still helps. So, but don't be discouraged. As long as you are willing to listen, to learn, to take the time, to be patient, okay, to be dedicated. So thank you, Summer. Okay, so this is, we have the, how many
There's a little
apples?
experimentation in the middle before I figured out what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I did apples equals integer for input. How many apples did you buy? I did 25. Price equals float. The input, how much did each apple cost? I did 99 cents. I checked to make sure that they came out correctly. Apples
Yes.
times price. And then I wanted to print a sentence that said multiple things, and it took a little practice, but I got it to do print the customer paid the apples times price total for the number of apples at price for each apple.
You actually very good. You let's see why the first one didn't work. The customer paid apple multiplied by price.
I forgot my
The
parenthesis.
problem is not the parenthesis. It's here. You have apples and then you don't have a comma. Do you see that? After 4, you have apples and then you don't have a comma. That's the problem. Do you see that?
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to put the parentheses around each item, actually. It's the problem is you have apples and apples at $. In between, there should be a comma.
Right there.
Yes, yes, exactly. Okay, very good. This is absolutely correct also. And multiple items, very, very good. Everybody look at the last statement. The customer paid, and then the total price there with the $, and 4, right? And then the number of apples, that's 25 apples at the price is 0.99 and for each apple. So this is a more complex, more complicated, elaborate display of information, and which is very, very good, absolutely good. Okay. You can, so if you look at this, it displayed a multiple items and very detailed display of information. And that's what we need, yes. And this is a good exercise. Thank you, very good. Okay, I will share my screen. So let's continue with this, okay. Editing, saving, and running a script. And just now, Summer did that already. And I forgot to show you, as I said, when I was taking a break, I was thinking, oh, this should be done in a script because otherwise it's too complicated. You have to type each command and it runs every time. So a script would be best. And we can look at that in a minute. And look at this program. This is from the book, okay? So because this is more than one command, so we use a script. Enter the width, you convert the string into an int. Enter the height, you convert the string into an int. And you declare another variable area. I have this. You declare another variable area and just put the multiplication, the product into it, and then you print it out, right? So let's do that. Okay, let's start the file, go to file and new file, everybody. Okay, so first you can save it or you can save it later. I'm going to save this file. Save as. You know what, I will just save it on my desktop. I don't want to save it in my Python because that is the program. So I will just save it on the desktop. And you can create a folder, create a folder and call it COSC 1436 exercises, right? Or in-class exercises. And you just use that folder to save it. I'm going to save it rectangle. That's the length and width. So, and the file is automatically, the extension is automatically attached, which is py, which is Python. So it's Python file. Okay. Now, if I go to my desktop, I should go to that folder. I should be able to find that file. This one. Okay. So I said, what did I say? I just created that new folder. This one, right? Okay. So that's rectangle. That's the Python file. Okay. So that's how you save. And once you save it, you can begin to write the script. So now you can see it says py. That's the extension, and that's the location. So rectangle.py. Okay. So I'm going to write what? I will say, I will calculate the area for your rectangle. Okay. Just to give it some background, right? This way it looks more user-friendly. And we want to get the length equals 2. And because length, we want to do calculation, we need to convert it into an int or a float. And remember, int is a whole number, float is double, not double, it's a decimal, real number. So I'm going to use float to be more reality accurate, right? So float, that's the function name. You know, for that function, you need the pair of parentheses. And then inside, we need to get the user input. So this will give you the user input, right? And then we want to tell the user what to do. So you need to have the double quotes inside. These spaces are not required, everybody. I'm just putting it there to show you, to make sure you can see the difference. Okay, so inside, I will say enter the length. Leave a space there so that it looks nice, right? That's the first statement. Notice that it doesn't run because this is a script, not the interactive shell. So width, and we do the same thing, float. And inside we do input, right? And inside input, we need the double quotes. And this is what Summer was saying, and I like that. I do this often myself. When I show students input, so enter the width. Okay, this way you never forget the paired parentheses, ending parentheses or ending quote. So this is the length and width. And now what do we want to do? We want to calculate the area, right? So we calculate simply length multiplied by, that's multiplication, the star sign, the 8, number 8, shift. Number 8. Okay, width, that will give you the area. And it's stored in that variable. And now you can print it out. The area of the rectangle is, we'll just separate it with area, right? So that's it. That is your program. Notice that if you do this, it doesn't work because this is uppercase, that doesn't work. This print function is lowercase. Python is case sensitive, so the case plays a role. When it's lowercase, you have to use lowercase. Right, okay, so now let's run, and we save it again, Control S to save it on Windows, and then we run. Run module. Okay, so enter the length, I will enter this, enter the width, 56. Okay, that is the area. And this is how you use this script and how you run it. Any questions? That is this program. Any questions, everybody? Okay, so if you look at this statement, okay, this statement will assign the result of the multiplication to the variable. So it goes this way, everybody. In programming, it goes this way. The result of this multiplication is assigned, is stored in this location. This is a location. Remember, this is a location with a name. So you are putting this result into that location, okay? Any questions about this?
By how many?
How many? Yes, you add them all together and divide by the number of items in your addition. And then you print out the average price for each credit in a complete informative statement, such as, okay, this is what Joe just now did. You are paying on average this much for each credit you take. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, that's fine. Joe did the each item, the number, the price. Mine is more, it's simpler. But this is what I'm asking you to do, everybody. Okay, so let's do that. 20 minutes.
Shared it wrong. Give me 1 sec. Try that again. Just plain screen. There.
While you are doing that, let me go and close my husband's office door. He's talking again. Okay.
Okay.
I will go and close it.
That should work. I just put in like 2 random numbers for this, but I don't see how to get the sentence put together at the end, and I needed help with that part.
So remember, you need to use commas when you're trying to print something. So it would be print, double open parenthesis, quote, however you want to start your sentence. Quote,
Okay.
close parenthesis, common.
So I don't
For
need
average
this part to be up here. I can just put the whole sentence together at the end, right?
Yeah, do you remember how I did it earlier when I did the price of each app?
I think so. I'm gonna leave that there first so I remember what to type. Okay, let's see. Print. And then it's a comma, or just part then a comma, and it's average. Okay.
This will not work. Because your last statement, you remember after print, what do you need? After print, you always have to have the parentheses, right?
Yes.
Right now you have 3 things you want to print, but they are not in the parentheses.
Oh, do they need one outside all of them?
Oh, just now I was recording the whole time. Okay. Yes, you need a set of, yes. Okay, now
Okay.
it will work.
Let's see. We'll just say 7. We'll say 300. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So once again, no, just stay there. Let me just point out to everybody, you do not need the parentheses around the string. Let's take them off and you will see it doesn't hurt, but it's actual work you have to do, right? So take them off, the parentheses around the string. Yes, take it off. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's run this again. Did you save?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you can see it works the same, right? But after print, you just need one set of parentheses, and the others, they are just separate items. Very good. Now this
Awesome.
works. Okay, thank you.
But okay,
Yeah,
so
you are
I
using
put,
the online Python. Just
Yeah.
know that when I ask you to do the midterm project or final project, you need to use the Python
Yeah,
one so that I can run it. Otherwise, I may not be. If I don't download this software, I cannot run. Right? Just know.
no, I can save the files itself, and it'll save just like how it's
Okay.
supposed to.
Okay. As long as it works. Okay.
Yeah.
So credits, very good, and the tuition, very good. You have it. And average price, tuition divided by credits.
And then at the bottom, the number of credits you're taking is 4. The price of tuition for all of them is 5.
You want to show the other part?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Oh shit, sorry.
If you maximize your screen, maybe we can see the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the button.
Okay.
Okay, I still can't see it all, but print, the number
Okay.
of credits you're taking is
Mhm.
credits, the price of tuition is tuition, the price for
Okay.
each credit is average price.
Okay, very good. Let's look at the output. Yes, that's correct. It's all correct. Very good, everybody. Just now, I was thinking you were entering a lot of different credits. It's actually just 2 numbers, so you don't need addition. You just need the division. Yes, that's correct. Okay, that's it, everybody.